Hi everyone, I'm Sal, co-creator of Salt and Pepper Productions,
And hi, I'm Pep, co-creator of Salt and Pepper Productions.
and we're back with another The Promised Neverland video. Today we're going to discuss our overall thoughts on Season 2 of The Promised Neverland anime. We've gone through all the episodes of Season 2, and now we're going to discuss our overall thoughts. How does this season compare to the previous season? How is it on its own when you're not comparing? Basically, yeah. So, if you're watching this, you're probably aware already, but season 2 is getting a lot of hate.
Especially the ending.
Yeah.
Particularly the ending.
And I'm sure, well, I know last episode you expressed disliking the ending, Pep.
Yeah. When she mentions that this season is getting a lot of hate, she may or may not be just referring to me.
No, I'm not referring to you. I mean, even before the final episode came out, like, people did not like how season 2 was being done. And I guess the main issue with season 2 is the pacing, how there's a lot of time jumps, there's a lot of montages to represent the passage of time, like,
Yeah.
and how a lot of things happen pretty quickly. Like, Emma and the kids only spend one full episode with Sonju and Mujika before they split up.
Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of panoramas of well, we're here for a couple months, or we're here for like a week or two, and we're gonna give you like a little shots here and here. But it's all like kind of compressed, which I can imagine like in the manga it's like at least a little bit longer to show character like development.
Right, and that's another thing. Like, we haven't actually read the manga, but from what we've heard, some stuff has been cut from the story.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? My mom was talking.
So,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. So, what I was saying was how we haven't actually read the manga, so we were going into the show and this particular season blind with no expectations for what was going to happen. I mean, we definitely had theories, but we
Yeah,
didn't have
I,
any expectations per se. Like, we weren't judging it as an adaptation of a story we were familiar with. So, I feel,
yeah, which is probably always hard because no matter there's always they're always gonna mess something up when they adapt it over.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. But like,
And yeah, like
uh,
from what we've heard, and I never really looked into it because I wanted to avoid running into potential spoils, and plus, I didn't want other people's thoughts on the show to affect my thoughts. Like, I wanted to, express my thoughts in our videos before I saw what other people were doing, so I don't really know any details specifically, really, but apparently a lot of content has been cut.
yeah. Apparently, a lot of people's like favorite arc was cut. I don't know. I read like one article on it that said that an arc where they ended up being hunted by like a very aristocratic demon got cut, and that a lot of people really liked that arc, and they were very sad when it got skipped over.
Mm. I wonder when that
Yeah,
would have happened. I imagine it probably would have happened when they were probably after they were forced to escape from the shelter.
yeah, I think that's probably where it was. I think it was in, but it was in that time skip.
Yeah, the 1 year time skip.
Yeah. of them going from incy teeny little babies to they're nearly adults. They're all tall now. um, but yeah, I think that, yeah, because that is like a lot. There's like a lot of missing time there of like things that happened because the way the manga, not the manga, the way the anime portrays it, it's almost as if like they just came to this tower shortly afterwards and they've just been hanging out there for a year,
Yeah.
which explains how they got so good at like blending into the demon communities and all that. But we don't see like how they developed that skill or the what happened to the first time they went in a demon community.
Yeah,
We just
I've
kind of see that they're good at this. Yeah.
yeah, I've talked to Russ about season 2 and he's very critical of season 2 and he was talking about how that time jump didn't make sense to him. And well, my thoughts were about that particular time jump were we know from season 1 that the kids are very intelligent and one of the themes of season 1 was strategy, the ability to adapt your escape plan, so they can eventually come up with a successful plan. So
Mm-hmm.
their ability to adapt was an essential part of their escape, and I feel their ability to adapt was also an essential part of was essential to their survival in the outside world. So in a way, to me, it kind of made sense that they were able to come up with this idea of let's blend in. Would it have
Yeah.
been nice to see them come up with the idea? Probably. Was it necessary? I don't know. I mean, again, I haven't
No,
read the manga, so people who have read the manga will probably disagree with me. Like,
it's probably not necessary, but you could probably make it into a very compelling and interesting story.
right.
Yeah, because like at one point the two demon brothers who get murdered, um they mentioned that there like were sightings of the kids nearby like a year ago.
Like,
So that could have been, you know, oh, we just figured out how to hide because, we ran into demons and we eventually figured it out.
hmm,
And now we've been very good at it. It could make for an interesting story. It's not necessary, but it would be. I'm sure that, like, related to it was, like, them learning how to survive was probably, like, it was, could have been a pretty interesting story,
right,
especially if they were being pursued,
right.
which they weren't after Sunju destroyed the hunting party for them.
Yeah,
We also run into Sanju being a very weird character because his earlier character motivation is like shown as like, oh, he actually wants humans to be wild so he can hunt them, and then is immediately like never mentioned again.
right. And based on the montage we saw at the very end of the final episode, he remains an ally to the kids and he helps resolve the conflict between
Yeah,
humans and demons.
the
So,
whole ulterior motive is just kind of dropped. Which I wonder, like those of you who've read the manga, is that dropped or did they have a conversation about it that we didn't see? Did
yeah.
Sanju take the full vegan pill, demon vegan pill? Uh, uh, but yeah, that was like a very interesting thing. Like, oh, he has a completely different motivation. He's not as much of an ally as we thought. He could sabotage their like motives in the future. No, he just helps them, continues to help them,
Right.
and then knowing this information is actually dampening to the story because now we're waiting for him to act on his character motivation, but it never comes.
Yeah, and like that was a plot point that was completely dropped.
Yeah, it's a reverse shock. I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. It's a reverse Chekhov's gun.
Hmm.
You know what Chekhov's gun is, right?
Yeah, the thing is, um, you see the gun and you know at some point it has to go off at some point, or they show you the bomb at the beginning of the scene and you know it has to go off at the end of
Yeah,
the scene.
yeah. The gun on the wall in the first scene is going off in the final scene. But
Right, and
in
with
this case,
Sonju,
in this case, the ulterior motive in the first second or third episode
it was in the third
is
episode that he
third
revealed.
episode is never mentioned again. Never. Like, because even when we were getting to the end there, I was expecting Sanju to like suddenly betray them and like make it impossible for them to leave or something, like, sabotage the gate or something so they're stuck here so they can,
Or escape to the human world. I
yeah.
think that was Sonju's
Yeah,
main
remember we were
purpose.
talking about that. Yeah, he escapes to the human world and becomes Jack the Ripper. um,
Jack the Ripper 2.0.
yeah, but didn't you know that's actually where Jack the Ripper came from? He's an escaped demon. Um, but like it's there and it's like tantalizing. Like, this could be interesting. This could be interesting character conflict because you have Mujika involved in this and she knew about it because he mentions it to her. But if he acts on it and she didn't like do anything to stop it, that causes a problem. Or maybe like they already know and you get like that series of haha, but I expected this, but haha, I expected that, but haha, I expected that Ray is so well known for. Um, but like still, it just never mentioned, and it kind of makes it worse because you're like, wait, where's the payoff for this little bit of information? Like, isn't he supposed to have ulterior motives? Guess not.
Right.
And you don't see him change his motives. He just comes back into scene and then acts the way you originally thought he would have acted, without the little hint of without the ulterior motive at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think that like there's absolutely a scene where Mojika slaps him across the face and says, "No, we don't kill humans, whether they're wild or not. Humans are friends, not food."
Yeah, so
Should
yeah, so the anime definitely let Sunju's character down. Like they could have either omitted that scene between him and Mujika because maybe they could have realized early on, okay, we don't have time to cover this plot point, so let's just not include this scene. Or they could have found a way to incorporate it into later episodes so it doesn't feel
yeah.
like one episode and then dropped.
I mean, it could have been as simple as him to, like him having a quick moment of hesitation, and then between his desire to do that and then his desire to help, the fact that he's made friends with them versus the fact that he wants them to go wild so he can hunt their kids.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we get nothing. He's lawful good all the way through, except for he talks chaotically.
Hmm.
I feel like maybe it was originally going to be in there somewhere, and then like as they were going, it just got like cut on the cutting room floor.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we don't have enough time now. Okay, we're gonna cut it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can't imagine that if they were planning on cutting like, or maybe in the manga again. I haven't read the manga, so I can't tell you. Maybe in the manga, the scene happens afterwards on their grand adventure, or like,
Potentially.
there's this point where Sanju, Sanju has a monologue about like how he wanted to you know, hunt their descendants, but has he's developed a fondness for them and couldn't do that and couldn't bring himself to do that to them.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that's another possibility.
Yeah, or even like the fact that he saw the fire in the destroyed village. Maybe he thought like, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this because it's gonna bring back violence between the humans and the demons, and that will result in more of this. And as in his religion, he can't stand for that.
Right.
Also, very important question: does he know that she's a demon blooded? He has to know she's the demon blooded girl, like the original.
Like, he has the blood too. Like, remember, he cut off his arm and it
Yeah,
regenerated, and then he fed it to one of the demons to make it go back to normal.
yeah. Why? What I mean is, like, does he think that she was a follower of the demon blooded girl, or does he know that she was the original uh, evil blooded girl? That she was like the original one who had the curse originally. They call it a curse. That's why I'm calling it. Um,
If he
I
didn't
wanted to
know
say
it, but
blessing.
if he didn't know about it before, I'm pretty sure he knows about it now. Because I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
the grandfather demon mentioned that I was one of the people you saved 700 years
yeah,
ago, if I remember correctly.
yeah. I just want to know what's going on in his head
Yeah.
because he seems like an interesting, like motivated and kind of interesting character. You just don't get anything from him besides like that one motivation scene, and then he's like, nah, no more.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
that's strike. Possibly interesting character is made bland.
speaking of which, some other characters who didn't get the time that they deserved are the Lambda kids.
And always far part eye boy, small eye boy. Um, yeah, the Lambda kids are also kind of rushed. I mean, I imagine because they all stay behind, they get more character development in like the long, winding adventure.
Yeah, potentially. I feel like the ones who got the least development were Sislo and Zazzy. Like, we don't know anything about them, like, nothing about their personality or anything. Where I feel Vincent and Barbara, I think, got a little more characterization because Vincent knew Norman longer than everybody else.
Yeah,
And with Barbara,
Barbara's
we
very
saw,
passionate.
yeah, she's a very passionate, emotional character, and we saw how much she respects Norman.
Yeah, and yeah, they seem to be the more major characters. I find it interesting though that Vincent is like sent across, so we don't really, we're not, you wouldn't really get much more from him
Right.
as character development, but you'd get the rest of them as character development.
Hmm.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, I might be forgetting. Who stayed on the demon side of the gate? It was Norman, Emma, Ray, Helga, and Dawn,
No,
right?
Gilda and Dawn stayed on the human
Gilda,
side.
yeah, okay,
Vincent went to the
okay,
human side. Ray,
and then it
Norman,
was
Emma, Sislo, Zazzy, and Barbara stayed in the demon
Demon
world.
World. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, it's been a while since I watched the last episode. And we were recording at like 11 o'clock. um, so my brain's just like, who was that again? Which character? uh, Time for me to make 180 mistakes that you'll correct me on by showing the copy of them saying the exact opposite on screen.
I'm not gonna. You're never gonna let. I'm never gonna let
I'm
that
not letting that
down.
down. I'm not. It's gonna be like deep channel lore in like 3 years. I'm gonna like offhand mention it. Someone's gonna be like, "What?"
So yeah, the Lambda kids were extremely underdeveloped. I guess it's possible that they get some more development during the journey following the escape. Or maybe
Yeah,
I wonder if the manga spent any time focusing on Norman and his adventures with the Lambda kids before reuniting with Ray and Emma.
Yeah. It's possible. I have no idea. Um, hmm, I don't know. I don't know. I just blanked out. I'm sorry. I'm useless apparently.
No.
Just like, yes, empty head. um, what was I gonna say? This is off topic because I'm jumping around. But we got a comment that like said something I thought was very interesting about the Minervas,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really sad at myself for not realizing this. But Minerva, because I like Greek mythology. I guess it's because I'm less prepped um on the Roman names. But Minerva is literally the Roman version of the Greek goddess Athena, whose symbol is the owl.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I missed this. I was reading the comment. I'm like, oh yeah. Why did that go over my head? I just want to thank the person. Oh god, where's the comment? Uh, hold on. Avina Star. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced your name. Avina Star 24. Wait, hold on. I have a screenshot of it, and then the title of the screenshot is covering the name. Avina Star 427. Thank you very much for that comment.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for watching the video and for leaving a comment.
yeah.
And for, because
Um,
that comment actually had a lot of interesting
yeah.
information, like revealed some information that was in the manga that was left out of the anime.
Yeah. A good lot of like stuff left out that was like really interesting. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was very nice hearing feedback. Um, I should be commenting on if I don't comment on reply to that, let me know. Just comment you never replied to me, and I
I
will
mean,
like suddenly remember.
I wrote a reply. I wrote a thank you.
Uh, thank thank you, sir. I am forgetful. I don't know how I function as a human being.
No.
I don't know how I got into 4 years of college for sure.
So,
Uh,
speaking of the Minervas, I think Peter Rattery is another character who didn't get a lot of screen time or focus. Like, he's not properly introduced until episode, I believe, episode 8, when we finally get that flashback that explains what happened to Norman when he was shipped out. I think that was our first
yeah,
time seeing him.
yeah. I mean, I think the reason they didn't expand upon him is just because he really isn't a main character in a way. He's kind of like a background character at this point. Like he was a mysterious character at first when in like the first season. He's William Minerva. He's the guy. Well, he's eventually becomes Peter Rattery, but at that point he's William Minerva, and he's the guy helping them escape, and he's the mysterious guy.
You're getting the
And then,
Minervas mixed up again. Peter is the
am
current
I really?
gatekeeper.
Oh my god, they're not Minervas, they're Ratteries too.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Ratteries. So, Peter is the current gatekeeper who we meet in, I believe, episode 8. James is dead. Has been dead
well, they're both
since.
dead.
Yeah, but James has been dead since before season 1,
Okay,
presumably.
fair. Or maybe I feel like he died during season one for some reason. No, he probably died before season one. I actually I have. There's no way to know, but like, yeah, probably before season one. You're right. It'd make more sense because Lambda has been a thing for a while. Um, well, no, because didn't Wait, hold on. Let me think for a minute. No, because they got the pen from Carone, and Carone got the pen from presumably from Rattery Minerva himself when he dropped it.
It wasn't. No, it was one of his supporters who
One of
dropped
his
that
support.
pen.
Okay, okay, never mind. I thought he dropped. Okay, so in that case, probably a long while ago. Then probably at that point his survivors were going on without him.
Right, because obviously there were still survivors around after his death. Because Norman got a
Yeah,
pen from one of his supporters.
yeah. What was I say? Yeah. So probably before, but no, he did not get much. The thing I like about him is he's the one character who
Peter or James?
the one who shot himself.
You mean cut himself?
I should have rewatched the episode.
Remember the knife that was.
Yeah, yeah, I remember now. I don't know why I thought he shot himself. I'm sorry. To my defense, in the meantime, I've started 2 new animes. So okay, my brain doesn't associate information well. Apparently, if you haven't noticed, dumb pep episode. No very deep analysis of symbolism in this one. Um,
But what did
yeah,
you
the
what do
guy.
you like about Peter, the guy who
Oh,
killed himself?
he's the only character that Emma didn't reach her hand out to, and they immediately accepted, or
Right.
almost immediately accepted. Like every other character, she just appeals to their better half, and they give in. And then Rattery is the only one who went, "Nah, you're mistaken. I'm gonna go die."
Right. Like in previous episodes we talked about how surprising it was that the Lambda kids accepted that eliminating demons wasn't the answer, that there had to be another way. And I mean,
Yeah, it felt like a very fast version.
Norman accepting what Emma was saying in the end, I guess, isn't that surprising the t- given the type of care, because we've known him for a very long time and we knew his character, so it wasn't that surprising that Emma was able to bring him back even after everything he's been through. The Lambda
Yeah.
Kids was surprising because of how quickly it
Mm.
happened and how much anger and resentment they had up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think a bit of it is that they tried to show that this was not what they expected. That despite the fact that like they're so hell bent on this, it's the actual like evilness of it or the horror of it they can't go through with, because even Barbara couldn't like bring herself to smash the 2 kids.
Right.
And I think that the attempt was to show that they were that they're just acting out in their pain, and that they aren't really evil, or they're willing, they given another choice they would have gone a different path, and that if you give them the other path they would go that path. I think that was the point. It just felt really quick for them to suddenly do 180 and go from, we need to kill the demons, that is the only way we will survive, the only way, and we need our payback, to, let's work with the demons and help them liberate their society, let's make them a better world.
I mean, Barbara still said, I hate the demons, but you're more important than revenge, boss. So I guess
Hmm.
that was a
I guess
huge
that
part
makes
of it,
sense.
too. That the respect she had for Norman was a huge part of it. And I think
But
another thing is, like, especially with Norman, like that one scene with him, the grandfather demon, and Demon Emma was like that was the first time he really processed what he was doing. Like sometimes when you're in a certain situation, you just go through the motions and your brain isn't actually processing what you're doing. And then
Yeah.
eventually you reach this breaking point where it suddenly hits you. Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like like when he stabbed like the part of that scene that comes to my mind was after he stabbed the elderly demon, and as the elderly demon saved little demon Emma from degeneration, Norman was just staring at the blood on his hands. Like,
Yeah.
and also when he
And
was looking around at the damage around him, it was like the first time he was really processing what he was doing and not
yeah.
going through the
The
motions.
first. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that they thought about it so much and that they had to do so much planning for it that they probably like understood what they were doing, but I feel like the reality of it hit them more that like this isn't what I thought it would be. They're not, mindless monsters. They're people just the same. I think it was the elder demon, the grandpa demon protecting demon Emma that got through to him in particular,
Right.
not just the blood on his hands. It was the realization that this is a person who cares about another person, who cares deeply and wants the world to be better and will sacrifice for this other person up to and including their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that struck him as it what's the word it rehumanized the enemy in comparison to dehumanizing.
Yeah.
The enemy went from vague to particular, and now it was one thing when the enemy is the mindless, faceless demons who eat your family and kept you captive for years and tortured you. It's another thing when it's a child and a grandfather crying in front of you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That was I don't think they were working on autopilot. I think it just their delusion of what was going on, of what they were doing, was shattered
Right.
for the harsh reality of it. But still, it makes me kind of wonder that later on, like in the later seasons or the later parts of the manga, because I don't think we're getting another season. Um, it makes me wonder if that conflict between um, them that any like instinct for them to still want to hurt or get revenge on demons comes out at all later on, and it's something that they still have to work through.
Hmm.
Because like I can imagine like Barbara was flat out eating a demon drumstick
Right.
at one point. Um, and I can't imagine that like them still being in this world and still fighting demons, that there's not going to be any point where that kind of mm, difference between what her hatred her and Zazi's hatred of the demons comes out at all, or has to be worked through.
Hmm.
But that's not something we're going to get with a slideshow.
Right.
Um, it's really hard to do deep motivated character development on a sideshow. I haven't tried, but I think it might be possible, but they didn't do it. It's like a flip book, but like more technologically advanced. It's got to hit it really fast.
Hmm.
I don't know. That was really random. Now I'm just imagining like doing a PowerPoint presentation and just slamming on the arrow key to get it to like go fast, so you have like an animation. And this is how we do stick figures, kids. uh,
So we've spent most of the video talking about the show's weaknesses, like how certain characters didn't get enough screen time or development or characterization, or how certain stuff happened too quickly, how there was a lot of time jumps and stuff.
Yeah,
Are there any positives you want to talk about?
it's very beautifully done. The animation is very beautiful. I like the symbology and sort of like the characters like trying to figure out. I don't know. I still have to say my favorite episode is or favorite scene in the anime is the one where Sinju takes Emma hunting, and they hunt the bird, and Emma kind of has this momentary crisis before she kills the bird about I'm running away to save my own life from something that wants to eat me, and here I am killing something else in order to that's trying to run away from me, and kind of that moment, and her having to come to terms with what it takes to survive out in the world.
Right, and that scene is the first example of, I guess, relating to the demons in a way, or starting to get a new perspective on the world that she's in, and how later on we even see how the demons are just trying to survive, just like how she was just trying to survive.
Yeah, I think the show. Another thing the show does really well is the show does like the dive into why characters act the way they do really well. Like, it's not just like this character is evil and they're evil because they're evil. No, this character does maybe something we consider evil, but they do it for either an understandable or a good reason. It would be really easy to like make this story about a story just evil, scary monsters trying to eat kids, and we need to run and we need to like, defeat them. But no, it turned into a story about um, why people behave the way they do, and the way that people, that society wanted, that like structures in society trying to maintain themselves, ending up causing people to act in ways that are harmful to others or hurting them. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a really I thought they did a really good job at showing that, and I think that it was that part was really well done.
Right. Pretty interesting themes this season, like the seeing yourself in other people, and how sometimes people do evil things not necessarily because they were evil. We've seen several examples of that throughout the entire show. We see it with the demons, we see it with the Lambda kids, we even saw it with the mothers and the sisters earlier on in the show, like with Isabella's montage in the final episode of last season, like seeing that journey she went on, and seeing how she became the mother of Plant 3, and how she became the perceived villain of that season.
Yeah, and again, it's really nice to see villains. I'm air quoting for those who are listening, um, who have a reason to do what they're doing, and are maybe not evil. They're villains, but they're not evil. If that's a good way of putting it,
Right,
they're
and
they're just doing what they need to survive.
that's a theme we see consistently throughout the entire show. Like we
Yeah,
saw it with the mothers and the sisters and in season 1, and then at the start of season 2, Emma coming to that realization when she went hunting with Sonju, and then seeing it later on with the demons living in that village, and then with the Lambda kids, we understand where their hate and anger is coming from.
yeah.
And even
Like,
with Peter Rattery, like
yeah,
learning about his family and their mission to keep peace between the two worlds by maintaining the farm system.
yeah. As much as he's probably like the least likable character, um, besides I don't know, maybe that giant spider thing, which I think is just inherently unlikely likable. Uh, except for when it's eating the scouts. That was all right. um, but I think that's why I like him despite the fact that I hate him as a character. Is that like despite the fact that he is the only character who's not willing to work with Emma, he is still shown. You still understand why he acts the way he does, and he
Mm-hmm.
still has a good reason for it. He is what's the term? He's an anti-villain. He's a villain. He's someone who's doing the wrong thing for the right reason. I think it's the proper way of saying that.
Is it anti-villain or anti-hero?
No, anti-hero is doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Anti-hero is I will save the universe, but only because I am one of the people who live in it. Anti-villain is I will end the world because I'm trying to save it. Or like the classic idea of an anti-villain is I will imprison and torture and kill people, but I'm doing it because I need to save someone, or I'm doing it because I'm trying to save my country or save my family, something like that. Someone who does bad things but for a good reason, versus someone who does good things for someone who does good things for a bad reason, someone who does bad things for good reason. Am I running myself in circles? um, yeah, like in his point, from his point of view, he is preserving the peace between demons and humans, even if it means sacrificing people. It is it is the ultimate Machiavellian scheme of I will literally send people to their slaughter to literally feed them to the system in order to maintain the peace, in order so that more people don't die. That's his view. So he is doing what is ostensibly a noble thing, preventing people from dying, preserving peace, but with a very evil method or a very traditionally considered bad method.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anti-villain is a very common word right now, or is really talked about. But I find it very interesting.
Hmm.
And then you start seeing them everywhere. No, you don't see them everywhere. um, what's another thing? Yeah. So I think that's very interesting because it's like, yes, he doesn't want to work with them, and yes, he was never going to work with them. But you can understand and empathize from his point of view. Also, he makes a very compelling point. Well, if you're not here, then how can the peace ever be maintained? And I wonder if that like little question ever comes up while Emma and all of them are on their journey. Like, what if he was right? Kind of like how earlier she had that she was second guessing herself.
Right, like when she was second guessing, was bringing everybody out into the outside world and putting them in this situation where we're struggling to survive. Was that the right thing to do?
Mhm. And maybe in the future she might there might be like a little bit of time where she double where she questions herself. Maybe when she runs into more stiff resistance from the opposing side, that might happen.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting, but we'll never know because dragon walking on water, war, end of episode. What? um, like I will say, if they hadn't done that, I would have said that it was a pretty good episode. Like they just needed to not do that. Um, which is also why I think we're not getting another season. They're just like, okay, we need to squeeze everything into the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? PowerPoint. But like, I mean, other than that, it was pretty good. I actually really like. I would still recommend to watch the anime to most people. That's my opinion, at least.
Mm.
How about you? What are your strengths and what are your would you recommend or not?
um Like, I definitely get why other people don't like it or why people would consider it a lot weaker than the first season. Like, there's a really bad pacing problem with this, but. And I get why people who read the manga are angry, but at the same time, like, it's not like I didn't get any enjoyment out of it. Like, I agree with a lot of the points you made, how there were a lot of good themes, and the animation was really good. I mean,
Beautiful
when that.
symbolism.
And yeah, the animation was good. I mean, when we saw that Wild Demon, it was a little too obvious it was CGI at times, but
Just a
aside
little.
from that, aside from that, the animation was really good.
Yeah.
And
Um.
I enjoyed a lot of the conflict and between the characters, and in a previous video we talked about how interesting it was to see Ray and Norman switch places, how these characters went on completely different, I guess, paths or arcs.
Yeah.
Although, I guess, going back to what we were saying before about how a lot of stuff was cut or didn't get a lot of screen time, maybe if we had more time with Norman or got an opportunity to see more of what happened to him, it would have been the impact would have been greater, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like a lot of the more character interactions are gonna happen. While they're camping under the desert sun and all that. In that one like quick PowerPoint thing where they're in the desert. um, but like in general, I think that because like near the end it got like really rushed. Like it was like we need a plan and we're doing this now. This is happening quickly, and there's not as much time for them to like relax and like share deep intimate moments. But um, it would have been nice to see their interactions more.
Right. I liked a lot of the interactions with um Emma and Ray, like especially
Mhm.
that tower scene when they were having that conversation about Norman's plan, and basically seeing Ray offer his support to Emma even if he doesn't completely agree with her, and kind of going back what we were saying before, how Ray and Norman kind of switched places where Norman decided to go behind Emma's back this season, where he never would have done that last season. Like, that was more of a Ray move. Like, in season
Yeah,
one, Ray was planning to go behind Emma's back and deceive her,
yeah.
where in season two, that was reversed, and we saw Ray was the one being more supportive towards Emma.
Mm. Oh, there's an interesting difference where well, actually no, it's not that much of a difference because in a way they're both killing themselves. Like, okay, and I'll have to explain that because Ray wanted to literally kill himself, like emulate it, emulate himself, or however you pronounce that. um, and then uh, Norman, in less of a literal sense, wanted to kill himself. He wanted to kill his innocence by actually like killing someone, by killing the demons. At that point, there was no going back from that.
Right, like,
He was killing a part of himself.
or like Ray killed an old part of himself and became a better person, I guess, where Norman was.
Yeah, Norman was trying to kill an old part of himself and becoming a worse person for it.
Right, and as Emma pointed out, like Emma could see through him and see, like, is this really what you want to do? You're still the same person. You look like a scared little boy to me right now.
Yeah. Well, he was literally a scared little boy. with the
You
power
know,
of animation.
you know what I mean.
I know you.
You know what scene I'm referring to.
I know you don't have to put it up. I know. It was a very nice scene. That was a very touching scene. Um, yeah, I think it was that was very well done. And it brings up the question for you. Do you ship Ray and Emma, or do you ship Norman and Emma?
Oh,
You
way to
weren't
put me
expecting
on the
that one.
spot. Um, so so here's the thing.
You ship
So
Norman
no,
and Ray.
that's not what I was gonna say. So
Okay.
Norman and so Norman has had a crush on Emma since forever. That's very apparent. And like when he was being shipped out, I think they were
Mm-hmm.
implying that he was in love with her, like not a crush, like he was in love with her, I think.
Yeah.
Like the way they did that scene made me think, okay, it's more than a crush at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that could be interesting. Because I kind of think that their experience outside of the farm between Ray and Emma, that they had developed like a kind of relationship as time went on.
Yeah,
So that
like
could.
that yeah, I get what you mean, and that does seem like an interesting idea, like because when they were younger, Ray kept teasing and making fun of Emma, and also when they were formulating their escape plan in season 1, he thought she was crazy. And then like I like I said, I really do like a lot of their scenes and moments in season 2, how he was there to be her support when he wasn't
Mm,
previously. So I could definitely see potentially that eventually developing into him having feelings for her.
mm.
Like where Norman
I
has,
yeah,
where the thing is, like, Norman has always liked Emma versus, like, over
Ray
time,
and
Ray developed
yeah,
feelings for her. So,
yeah.
interesting.
It could be a fight later. That's another thing we didn't see. We didn't get to see them fight over Emma. Uh,
Love
that
triangle.
yeah, yeah, I love triangle. Here we come. Poor Emma. Poor Emma just wants to save the world, and now she's got to deal with two of her best friends developing crushes on her.
I mean, do you think
What do
Emma
you?
had a crush on Norman too?
I I don't know. I'm very bad at this, as my life has told, has like for shown.
Hey.
I am very bad at noticing when people have crushes on other people. It goes right over my head. Uh, and not just when someone has a crush on me. When like other people have crushes on each other, I'm just like whoop, right over my head. I don't notice at all. I'm just oblivious. um, maybe. I don't know. Would find it funny if one of them confessed their love to her, and she
Or
just
confessed,
went,
I
"Of
like
course
you.
I love you." Yeah, and she's like, "Of course I like you. You're my brother."
Yeah.
And you just, and then the entire audience just goes, "Oof." Poor little Nora. um, I don't know. I kind of imagine not Ray, Emma just kind of being like, "Of course I love you. You're my brother. Look what we've been through together."
Right.
I don't know. I would find that funny. That
I
would
feel
be
like,
it would be painful in the moment to watch, but it would be funny.
right, like, I feel like during that scene when Norman was being shipped out and it looked like he was going to tell Emma he loved her, like, I feel like Emma, I think Emma was processing what he was trying to say or realized what he was trying to say. I think the deeper meaning behind it, I think she realized. I'd have to double check the
Maybe.
scene, but I feel like I feel like if a scene like that happened, like what you're describing happened, I feel like it would make more sense with Ray because I feel like Emma might know already.
Yeah, no, that's possible. I mean,
I mean, and like Ray knows that Norman has a crush on Emma. Like Norman, like Ray was even like, "Why are you cooperating her? Like, she's being so unreasonable. Why are you going along with this?" And he's like, "Because I like her."
mm,
So Ray knows that Norman has a crush on Emma.
yeah. Yeah, it's probably not. I just like the when they were for me when they were like surviving together, it came across as they were sort of like the parental figures to everyone else.
Makes sense.
And they're surviving together, and to me it seemed like they were developing a very close, intimate bond.
Right, like there was in the first episode the conversation that they had when at the beginning of the episode when Ray apologized for being uncooperative and being the reason why Emma had to cut her ear off.
Yeah,
And also later on, like when Emma was having those doubts about was bringing everybody in the outside world the right thing, Ray was there to say, "I'm alive because of you. You were just doing the right thing. Like we're all
yeah,
alive because of you." And then later on, like their conversation on top of the tower when they were discussing Norman's plan, and Ray basically told her to if this isn't what you want, you need to be honest about it. Like, I don't care if the demons die, but I
what you
could
want to do
see,
is important. Yeah,
yeah, so I'm willing to come to a compromise. And I like the part when he places his hand on her shoulder, like that shot.
hmm
I and like kind of the smile, his smile within that one shot. I actually really like that shot.
yeah, it's a very nice one. Because I know what you're referring to. It's the basis of my deciding to ship them. Now, I also like the other thing is like at this point, at the point in time, like of them surviving together, they think Norman is dead. So it's totally possible for Emma to have like more into the loss of to have understood what Norman was saying, had feelings and reflected them. Again, they're still pretty young, so it's like the beginning of like you know beginning of like understanding this sort of thing because they're like still really young.
Right.
Um, but like having understood what he said, reflected them, had felt similarly, but then had to process the fact that he's to her understanding dead, and then finding some sort of peace in that, and then moving on because again this is over the course of a year, and then having some sort of feelings emerge for Ray, and then Norman comes back, and now she's in the love triangle, and now she's just like, sorry, damn it, my swearing habit came back.
I'll cut out the
Sal's so happy with me right now.
I'll cut out the S word. Like I don't cut out the word damn. Like I cut out F bombs and the S word.
It was
Like
so good.
I feel
It's
like
doing.
I feel like damn's not as bad.
Hey, I won't swear saying this, but I tried when I was younger to stop saying the F word by saying bloody hell instead. I'm not British, but I thought it would work because I thought it would be quirky. I made it a week, and then I started saying bloody F in hell. I made it worse. It was worse. I'm sorry. I couldn't get away from it. I didn't even do it on purpose. It was just like one time. Yeah, so if you ever plan on, if anyone in the audience ever plans on like cutting back on your cursing, try something other than replacing it because you'll just end up making your cursing worse and more hilarious.
We should probably get back on topic. Like like I feel
Oh yeah, we
like
just hightailed it out of the zone of topic.
Like, I feel like we were talking about season 2, and then we were talking about a potential love triangle that may or may not exist in the story. And
I
then we
mean,
started talking about cursing.
there's a very clear progression here. We saw how this developed. It makes sense somehow.
Right.
Uh,
Right. I'm just saying, like,
yeah. We
yeah,
need to get back
I
to the
feel like,
point
yeah.
at hand. Um, so I think the second half of the question I originally asked that then led to me asking another question that led us down that entire little rabbit hole was, would you recommend the anime to anyone?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, like, I got my family to watch season 1, and they really enjoyed it. Like, I'm not sure if they would enjoy season 2 as much because of the flaws it does have, like the pacing and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like if you can enjoy it, like if you don't mind the pacing, it's still pretty good. It's just it's just you come away with a couple of questions. I think the first half of it is better. I think the first half up until they make it to the shelter, when they make it to the shelter and up until they leave, is very good.
Yeah, like, and going back to what we were saying before, a lot of stuff happens really quickly. Like, they were only with Sonju and Mujika for one full episode. Like, they meet at the very end of episode 1, spend the
Mhm.
entirety of episode 2 with them, and then part ways at the beginning of episode 3. They
Yeah,
spend like half of episode 3 and the entirety of episode 4 at the shelter, and then time jump ahead to when they're hiding out at the
yeah.
temple.
And then what? And at the end of the episode, we find out Norman's back,
Right.
and everyone's like, "Wait, Norman?"
And I remember one other thing Russ mentioned was how he didn't like how short Norman's flashback was, how he felt that they should have spent an entire episode on what happened to Norman and the Lambda kids, which, yeah, I agree. And,
Yeah,
like, there was a
uh,
recap episode this season. Like, imagine if instead of a recap episode, like, they used that to cover the flashback with Norman. Like obviously they'd have to rearrange the episodes because the recap takes place in between Norman is suddenly alive and Norman revealing his plan. So I
yeah.
feel
I
like
mean,
they'd
they could
have
have
to
just
move the recap episode over and to make it a flashback episode because basically what the anime was going for was Norman saying I wasn't experimented on, so I'm fine. And then later on, we see him coughing up blood, and we realize, oh no, he's not fine. And then we get the flashback.
I mean, it could have been interesting to like do the thing because most of the anime works where the I don't want to say character knowledge is player knowledge, where our understanding the um of the plot and what's going on comes mostly through the characters. Like we get a couple things, kind of like Sin. They don't know what Senju did. They didn't know what he said, and they don't know that he killed their pursuers. But for the most part, after that, like for most of the anime, our knowledge of the world is through the characters' eyes. What they know, we know.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been interesting to do to have done that recap episode in between, and then given us information that the I almost said the players again. I clearly play D&D. That the characters don't know, so that we can watch the way that they unfold. Like we can see, like you get the suspense of he's telling them nothing is wrong, but we know something is wrong. We know what happened, and we know he's lying. So the audience has suspense that is not wouldn't be there if you didn't have that knowledge. That could have been a very interesting way of doing it.
So you think it would have been better if the flashback took place before we found out something was wrong with Norman?
Yeah, I think they could have played it very well, but I don't think it would have been. I think it would have been one of those. This would have been good, but you'd have to have diverted from the way it was written in the manga, and that would make most people more angry.
I mean, we don't know how they did it in the manga, so.
Yeah, I'm imagine the way the anime reads to me is they were trying to adapt almost as closely as they can to the manga, while also having to cut scenes. That's how it comes across to me.
Hmm. Well, I liked the
Um,
way they did it in the show with how we see that Norman is not okay, he's coughing up blood, and then use that as a transition to um what happened to him to the flashback. But I get what you're
mhm.
saying, how there'd be a bit of, I believe it's called dramatic irony, when the audience knows something that the characters don't know. Like if they
Yeah,
had the flashback earlier, then we would know that Norman's lying to them.
yeah, and we would know, and we can watch how his we can watch him be more deceptive, and it would play into the Norman has changed aspect that we had for a while. You know,
Yeah.
like now he's lying to them. He has yeah. It, I don't know. I think it would have been interesting. I like it when they do that, where it's like
No, I get what you're
you
saying.
get
I
you kind of
actually
yeah
think that's a good idea, how making it apparent up front to the audience that Norman really has changed.
yeah, and then having to watch the characters slowly realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The issue is that the issue with that is though that because they do so much with like us having only the characters knowledge, it would I think that it could if it's not handled well, it could create a problem with like what did the characters know and what did the audience know. For some it can that can happen sometimes where like information where people will forget which information is to which people. But I mean, for the most part, it would have been very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have done that one. I feel like that would have been a really interesting, sort of thing. I don't know, not to toot my own horn. um, I'm sorry. What were we talking about before that?
We were talking about um
Oh yeah, whether we would like recommend it or not.
like we were talking about what we recommended, and then we were talking about the pacing, and then we were talking about the recap episode and how
Yeah,
Norman's flashback should have been longer.
yeah. Um, yeah. I kind of disagree. It should have been longer, and that recap episode wasn't necessary.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary at all.
I,
Although,
like I understand.
like when we made our discussing the recap of this episode, your
I
commenting
did
on it
like it.
was very positive.
I did like it, but like if it could have been that, I would have rather that. It's like okay, for what I got, I liked it, but it could have been better.
Yeah, like it could have been a flashback.
It could have been. Well, you know what? You could have just made a long episode and had like the two flashbacks go back to back, do like the character recap, and then surprise everyone that it's twice the normal length, and we're getting Norman's flashback now. Ooh, and watch the audience explode. um, yeah. I mean, the flashback was nice. It was kind of like a nice little like breather and refresher. It was like um, when you go to like a fancy restaurant and like they do like the multi-course meals and then they have like in between like a little like respite where like you just drink a little bit and you kind of like hang out and then you go back for like the second course or like the dessert.
I'm
It's like
not.
uh, it's like a digestive. It's like you get time to digest the story and like clean your palate for what's about to come and to like put what's about to come in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know if I did really good or really badly with that food analogy or not.
No, I think you did.
Yeah. I think that was the strength of it. That like when we did see Norman's flashback, we could compare what happened to him with what happened to the kids
Mm-hmm.
and see the difference in their development.
Right.
But yeah, when it did come out, I kind of did enjoy it. It was like a nice little quick little. I was like, oh, this is a nice piece of candy. And then they got fast,
Mm,
and then everything got fast.
right.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So what else do we have to talk about today?
Um, Another
I'm forgetting.
character, and we talked about this at length in our previous The Promised Neverland video, but Phil was another character who didn't get any time this season. Like, he didn't show up until the
The
last two
very end.
episodes. The last two episodes.
Yeah. Um, and even then, like his whole like showing up was, oh hey, it's Phil. Oh, they're getting rescued. Hi Phil, hope you're doing well. You seem to be growing like a good, doing well given the circumstances. You seem rather terrified. I'm very sorry. Like he seemed like a night like he was being used for like audience to like someone for like the audience to empathize with when he was like being afraid
Mm-hmm.
or what was it? Was I think I used a good term before. He is a character who represents the the group of the characters. I think was what I said.
Yeah, last video you said he represents all the
The
background
whole group.
characters.
Yeah, he's like a center character that you can like focus on and understand instead of learning 895 names and empathizing with every single child. You get to see his fear instead of the fear of all the kids, or you have an anchor character or whatever. I didn't major in English. I don't know what I'm talking about. Boo! Get off the stage. Um, no. Yeah. It would have been nice to see more of him.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see, and you know that if there were more seasons, that like you wouldn't see more of him because he's in the human world, and I don't know. I don't feel like the story would focus much on the human world, other than like, yep, they're growing up, they have a family, unless what they did is they split the manga into two, and they have a slice of life anime and an adventure anime at the same time. That would be very interesting. Imagine like you get one my for the Promised Neverland, a slice of life, and the Promised Neverland an action adventure or manga, or it alternates every other issue. It switches.
That it switches.
It
It
switches between
reminds
the
me of
stories.
something that the Danganronpa 3 anime did, where I know you haven't seen it, but basically, when it aired, there were 2 episodes a week, and basically, it switched back and forth between the present day and the past. Basically, there was the future arc, which was covering stuff that was happening in the present day, and then the despair arc, which was happening
In the
in the
past.
past, and it would jump back and forth. Like, the first episode that came out that week would be future arc, the second episode that came out that week would be despair arc, and it focused on two different things at once.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a pretty cool way of doing it. For like, I feel like the tone switch though between like an action adventure and a slice of life would be very jarring. Like like imagine you get one like episode of the action adventure and Emma's going to go meet with the ancient dragon and discover the secrets of the universe and enter the avatar state or whatever happens in that. Um, I don't know. I get Avatar vibes from that one.
You
I get Lion
mentioned that.
Turtle vibes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that last video.
And then immediately the next episode, you just skip to Gilda and Dawn failing at math. I don't know why they're failing at math. It's just the first thing that came to mind. They're in high school now, and Goldia's just looking at Dawn like, "What is algebra?"
I mean, well, they got
I know
decent
they probably
grades at
she's
the house,
fine.
didn't they?
Yeah, they got pretty good grades. Okay.
And one of the
I,
well,
I, I
actually, one
if
of the things we talked about last video was how it might be difficult adjusting to life in the real world. So maybe focus on
yeah, for sure, cafeteria food in high school is not as good as the food they were getting.
right, but like focus on like dealing with the other humans or
Yeah.
the new system that they live in now,
hmm And
PTSD and stuff.
yeah, and even just like the cruelty of this world. Like they left the old world, and there was very particular cruelty there, in the sense they're being raised as cattle, but like our world can be pretty cruel too, and they'd have to learn how to deal with that. A very different type of cruelty, because people can just be absolutely, completely horrible to each other for no good reason, and probably have to learn how to deal with that and bullies and stuff like that. It'd be very interesting. It also probably like because I'm imagining they were all adopted by different people, so it'd be, them struggling to keep their group together.
Hmm.
Yeah, it could it could be very interesting to see just how they have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they grew up in what amounts to like the countryside, a small cabin in the woods sort of vibe, and now they're in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shock.
So, do you have any more thoughts on season 2 before we
um,
wrap up?
Let me think. Overall, could have been better. There were some pretty good parts. I think it deserve. I think it's on the like mildly better end rather than the worst end. I do think it's like worth watching. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Um, there are definitely a good few parts that could have been better, and you know they could probably have used more time, more episodes in the season, or more seasons for it. Though
Right.
those are my final thoughts. And now I die. um, how about you?
So yeah, I agree. Like I did get some I did enjoy watching the show. Like it's not like it's definitely a very flawed show, but it's not like I didn't get any enjoyment out of it. Like I enjoyed the conflict between the characters, and there was actually some really good action at times. Like I really liked seeing the action in the first episode. It really got me excited, like seeing them utilize their tag training and also executing their plan in the second to last episode. So
Yeah,
overall, I thought the action was good and good animation, as we were talking about before. And
yeah.
as you mentioned before, really cool themes.
Always with the themes and symbology. Again, there is that water droplet. That was a very good stuff. I liked that. I'm sorry. I went back to something I haven't mentioned in a while. Um. So yeah. That's the second season of the Promised Neverland. Let's see if we're ever able to continue doing this with another anime.
Yeah.
um.
I feel like we're
Uh.
also being a bit more forgiving, or trying to be a bit more forgiving, because we didn't read the manga. Like maybe if we read the
Yeah.
manga first, we'd be a lot less forgiving.
I'm going to use an analogy for a book I really enjoyed and the movie I really hated. You've heard me rant about this before. I saw that smile. You've heard this rant before.
Yes, I have.
Probably more than enough time. So if you watch the movie World War Z, it's an A-OK summer blockbuster. It's action adventure, kind of dumb, but it's all right. It's a good movie if you've read the book. Sorry, if you read the book, You can't watch that movie and be happy because it is not the book at all. It doesn't fit. It doesn't have any of the themes. I think the closest thing they got is the fact that Jerusalem has a lot of walls, and that Jerusalem is like one of the last standing human settlements that like does really well. Other than that, they're just like, whole new movie, different plot. This character doesn't make sense. Oh, and they also got the fact that North Korea disappears. They got that right. North Korea disappears. I'm not spoiling too many plot points. Um, Sorry if you've never read that book. Highly recommend it. It's a very good book. But um, yeah, usually adaptations don't go very well, and I feel like if you've read the manga, you're probably not gonna like the anime because there's a lot of what's missing. For us, it's just something seems off, and there should be something here. For you, you know what that is. Um, yeah. Sorry if my rant is a little disjointed there, as I accidentally spoil things from a book that was released 20 years ago. Was it 20 years? Wait, hold on. It was released in 2006. Okay, 15 years ago. Okay? If you haven't read the book, I didn't spoil that much. Go read it. It's a good book. You'll probably like it. It's not as dumb as the movie. It actually has themes. And it's very well done.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's the plus for the anime, unlike the World War Z movie. The second season of the Promised Neverland anime has themes.
Yeah.
At least it has themes.
It has good themes. It has good symbols and all that. It's good. It just they needed to slow down.
Yeah.
They pushed way too much into a can. They tried to make anime concentrate, and that doesn't work. Um. So yeah. Um. Hopefully we will be back again either later this week or next week with whatever we start working on after this. Um.
I'll
And it was
probably
fun.
upload this video before we start a new show.
Yes. And yeah. And they don't want no pressure. Yeah. So do you have anything else you want to say, Sal?
No, I don't think so. You?
No, I think I'm good.
Alright.
Oh wait, I have one thing to say. Have a wonderful day, everybody, or night, or morning, or weird bewitching hour that some people exist in. I see you out there, 3 a.m. watchers. Um, yeah. So sign offs.
Thank you for
Or
watching the video. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Check out our other videos. If you haven't already, be sure to share this video, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye!
see you again sometime soon. Have a great night or whatever time, and bye.